At 40,000 feet, a passenger jet is already cruising higher than most mountains on Earth. Yet there's a strange ceiling in commercial aviation. Go much higher, and suddenly the airplane starts running into problems that have nothing to do with the weather. So why stop there? Is 40,000 feet some secret legal limit? Does the airplane get a little nervous and say, "Nope, that's high enough"? Did engineers draw an invisible line in the sky and tell pilots, absolutely no flying above this? Or does the atmosphere simply become too thin for the airplane to keep going? As strange as it sounds, that altitude wasn't chosen by accident. It's the result of a delicate balancing act that every commercial flight has to get just right. The question is, why there? Welcome to Past in Plain Sight. Today we're uncovering the fascinating reason airliners usually stop around 40,000 feet. To understand why, we first need to understand why airplanes climb so high in the first place. When an airliner takes off, the engines are working incredibly hard. They're pushing thousands of kilograms of airplane through the thickest part of the atmosphere. But as the aircraft climbs, the air becomes thinner. And that's actually helpful. Thinner air means less aerodynamic drag. Less drag means the airplane doesn't have to fight the atmosphere quite as hard. It's like running through a crowded shopping mall versus running down an empty hallway. The hallway wins every time. There's another advantage. At cruising altitude, airliners can often fly above much of the weather and use favorable winds, making long-distance flights more efficient. So climbing high saves fuel, but the problem is not quite solved. Because thinner air creates a completely different problem. The wings need air flowing over them to generate lift, and at higher altitude there's less of that air. The airplane can compensate by flying faster, but eventually it reaches an awkward situation. If it flies too slowly, there's not enough lift. If it flies too quickly, it gets dangerously close to the aircraft's maximum operating speed. The safe region between those two limits becomes narrower. Pilots sometimes call this area the coffin corner. Yes, aviation really did look at a narrow safety margin thousands of feet above the ground and decide that was the perfect name. It's basically the airplane saying, I can either go too slow or too fast. Please choose carefully. At around typical cruise altitudes, the airplane has a comfortable margin between these limits. Climb too high, however, and that margin gets smaller. Eventually, the aircraft reaches an altitude where even a small change in speed, turbulence, or other conditions can create problems. And that's one reason there is a practical limit. But there's another major player, the engines. Jet engines need lots of oxygen. They compress incoming air, mix it with fuel, and burn the mixture to produce thrust. As altitude increases, the air becomes dramatically thinner. The engines can still operate, but their available thrust decreases. Eventually, there's simply not enough air mass flowing through the engine to make climbing worthwhile. It's like trying to run a campfire during a hurricane with a single match. Technically possible, but not exactly impressive. Now you might wonder, if the air is thinner, wouldn't that make the airplane lighter and faster? The airplane itself doesn't become lighter, but the thinner atmosphere does reduce drag. That's one reason aircraft designers carefully choose cruise altitudes where the benefits of thin air outweigh the disadvantages. And this is where the magic word appears: efficiency. Airlines don't choose cruising altitude because pilots think 40,000 feet looks particularly beautiful. They choose it because every extra kilogram of fuel costs money. Flying too low means excessive drag. Flying too high can reduce engine performance and shrink the aerodynamic safety margin. The ideal altitude is somewhere in between. For many commercial aircraft, that sweet spot is somewhere around 30,000 to 40,000 feet, depending on the aircraft, weight, weather, route, and other conditions. That cruising altitude isn't an arbitrary number. It's where engineering and physics shake hands. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to Past in Plain Sight, and join us next time as we reveal why fighter jets can do what normal planes can't. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.